Welcome to part 8 of this series on Moby Dick. In this lecture, we will discuss chapters 41 through 47. In chapter 41, Ishmael recounts the various stories about Moby Dick. Some people suggest that Moby Dick is ubiquitous, having been encountered at opposite points of the world at one time. Others suggest that the white whale is immortal because it has escaped numerous attacks unharmed with many spears planted in his back. Immortality and omnipresence are also characteristics of the God of Abraham. Melville might be alluding to these similarities to suggest that Moby Dick is the embodiment of that God. Ishmael also relates the story of how Captain Ahab lost his leg to Moby Dick. Ahab vainly tried to attack Moby Dick with a knife after the whale had destroyed Ahab's boat. Then the whale ripped away Ahab's leg and swam away. Ahab was rescued by the crew of the main ship, but he did not receive proper medical care for a long time because they were far from shore. During this interval of extreme anguish, Ishmael believes that Ahab developed his hatred and desire for revenge against Moby Dick. All that most maddens and torments, all that stirs up the lees of things, all truth with malice in it, all that cracks the sinews and cakes the brain, all the subtle demonisms of life and thought, all evil to crazy Ahab were visibly personified and made practically assailable in Moby Dick. He piled upon the whale's white hump the sum of all the general rage and hate felt by his whole race from Adam down, and then, as if his chest had been a mortar, he burst his hot heart's shell upon it. In chapter 42, Ishmael explains the strange feeling of dread associated with the color of white. Though the color white is often regarded as a symbol of purity, chastity, and even royalty, Ishmael notes that there lurks an elusive something in the innermost idea of this hue, which strikes more of panic to the soul than that redness which affrights in blood. For example, the terror inspired by the white polar bear and the white shark is intensified by their whiteness. Also, the pallor that a corpse assumes strikes fear in the living, and furthermore, we wrap the dead in a shroud of white. This latter example in particular suggests that Moby Dick symbolizes death. In chapter 43, two sailors are working on the deck of the Pequod. One of them hears a noise in the hull of the ship, and he concludes that there is somebody down in the afterhold that has not yet been seen on deck. The mystery will be solved in the next video lecture. In chapter 44, Ishmael explains that Moby Dick is regularly seen in the same location every year. The time and place is known in the whaling industry as the season on the line. This is also the place where Ahab lost his leg to Moby Dick, and therefore the place is a fitting site for Ahab's revenge. However, the Pequod will not be able to reach the season on the line in the first year of the voyage. This circumstance seems to aggravate Ahab's anger. The crew frequently sees Ahab burst forth from his cabin, as if he were trying to escape the torture of his own thoughts. God help thee, old man, thy thoughts have created a creature in thee, and he whose intense thinking thus makes him a Prometheus, a vulture feeds upon that heart forever, that vulture the very creature he creates. Prometheus was an ancient Greek god who was chained to a rock. Every day a bird would eat his organs, and every night his organs would regenerate, only to be eaten again the following day. Ahab is similar to Prometheus. His thoughts and desire for revenge are agonizing, and they are renewed every day that he does not encounter Moby Dick. In chapter 45, Ishmael acknowledges that many people may not believe the stories about Moby Dick's power and seeming immortality. Therefore, he cites examples of other sperm whales that demonstrated extraordinary strength and intelligence. In one instance, a sperm whale destroyed an entire ship. One member of the crew recounts the harrowing experience. Every fact seemed to warrant me in concluding that it was anything but chance which directed his operations. He made two several attacks upon the ship, at a short interval between them, both of which, according to their direction, were calculated to do us the most injury, by being made ahead, and thereby combining the speed of the two objects for the shock, to effect which the exact maneuvers which he made were necessary. His aspect was most horrible, and such as indicated resentment and fury. He came directly from the shoal which we had just before entered, and in which we had struck three of his companions, as if fired with revenge for their sufferings. This account contradicts Starbuck's assertion that whales are merely dumb brutes, which are incapable of reasoning and deprived of free will. The whale in the sailor story demonstrates forethought and a capacity for revenge. In chapter 46, Ishmael explains that despite Ahab's ultimate goal to kill Moby Dick, Ahab still pursues other whales because he needs to keep his crew sharp and ready for the encounter with the white whale. To accomplish his object, Ahab must use tools, and of all tools used in the shadow of the moon, men are most apt to get out of order. Furthermore, Ahab knows that however enthusiastic the crew was about aiding Ahab in his quest for revenge against Moby Dick, the crew might grow mutinous if they have no expectation of being paid. I will not strip these men, thought Ahab, of all hopes of cash. Aye, cash. They may scorn cash now, but let some months go by, and no prospective promise of it to them, and then this same quiescent cash all at once mutinying in them, this same cash would soon cashier Ahab. In chapter 47, Ishmael describes a particularly calm and sunny day. Ishmael and Queequeg are engaged in making a mat, while other members of the crew lounge lazily about the ship. The atmosphere of the ship feels like a dream, according to Ishmael. But suddenly a sharp cry from the masthead disrupts the calm. Tashtego, who is on watch, shouts that he sees whales. The sailors immediately spring to action. The harpooneers climb into their respective boats. But at this critical instant a sudden exclamation was heard that took every eye from the whale. With a start all glared at dark Ahab, who was surrounded by 5 dusky phantoms that seemed fresh formed out of air. These phantoms were the cause of the mysterious noise heard by the sailor in chapter 43. But what are they? Don't forget to subscribe and join us for part 9 of this series on Moby Dick.